It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in the Inland Empire. Today we are joined again by the man, the myth, Joe Brady. He is the A trustee with the Victor Valley Community College District. Some really great news coming out of VVC. And I guess a little finance background helps. Talk to us about how you and your colleagues work together to refinance bond debt to the benefit of the district and the students.
First thing we had passed, the voters back in 2005 passed a $137 million, what I call like a first phase bond. It was actually a larger bond. Dr. Wagner saw...
He's the superintendent?
Yeah, he's our president superintendent. He saw a window of time, with interest rates being real low, that we could refinance this, and we were able to refinance it. The original projections were somewhere between a $10 and $12 million savings. The actual savings ended up being over $18 million.
That's huge.
It's a huge amount of money.
Huge amount of money,
Absolutely.
Especially in a district that is not huge. I mean, $18 million will go a long way.
Our district boundaries are 1,800 square miles.
18.
But no, it's significant. We just started construction on an automotive building.
Yeah, and let's talk about that,
It's
sir.
a $6 million deal.
Because this is very significant. I mean, I have learned that welders, they make a good living.
They make a great living.
Really great living. And this complex targets the education of welders.
As John Sweet was talking about the
Who's
welding, John runs the automotive program down there, and as he talked about it, I thought to myself, if I was a young man, not knowing what I wanted to do, I lived in the high desert, and I wanted to have a job that would take me through my entire career and pay me well, welding would absolutely be one of them. Absolutely be one of them.
So what else do you plan to do with, I don't want to say the largesse, but the funds you did not expect?
Well, the funds that we didn't expect go back. We have the one-stop building that is programmed now for, I believe, 18 months from now. We're looking at a conference center that would augment our football stadium, but really be kind of a center focus. At this point, when the foundation, when our Victor Valley Community Foundation does their annual gala, we go rent the Hilton Garden Inn. They've got a great conference center. But I think when Dr. Wagner came to the board a year ago and said, I think there's some great opportunities for us to engage our local community. The college is literally in the geographic center of the high desert region.
Right.
So why don't we look at building a 400-seat conference center? We can augment it and redo our football stadium. Our football team has set all kinds of records in the last 2 years. So I think that...
And didn't you open was it a nursing building recently or a medical facility?
We just opened up another nursing building. Part of that came through the great donation of Dr. Prim Reddy, who's been a huge... Dr. Prim has given the school over $5 million so far, and one of the most... Dr. Prim is one of the 50 most influential people in the medical industry, and he resides in the high desert. And our nursing schools is in the top 5% of the country. Not in the state, not in the county, but in the country. And that's not bad for a community college. That's huge.
But what's also nice is your area is growing. It is undeniable. The population continues to grow. Even despite the dip that you had in the earlier part of the decade, your population is starting to tick up again.
You have 22, 23 million people below the hill, where we're at. And eventually you're going to run out of land. And it's not like in Hong Kong where you can go out and build the airport out there. So eventually the Antelope Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, the Victor Valley. Well, within probably another 75 years, Dick Turpin was with the LA Times years ago, and he was the editor. I followed him really close. He talked about the donut effect, and someday the top and the bottom would connect. The bottom's connected, and now the top will. We will see the growth.
You have been an advocate of veterans for as long as I've known you, and you were part of a team that spearheaded an effort on behalf of veterans, but not what we may think. Let's go from the beginning, if we can, on this journey that you engaged in with the Spring Valley Lake Veterans Club.
Well, the first thing, we have a Congressman Paul Koch, who is just a noted veteran.
Marine, I think.
My office, where we're located at on Bear Valley and Industrial, is where the veterans building is. That's where all the medical's done, blood testing, all that. But there's a gentleman in Spring Valley Lake, him and his board, that created the Spring Valley Lake Veterans Club. And they created it, I believe, in the last 2 years. But in September of 2015, after their initial formulation, they said their number one goal was they wanted to figure out how Victor Valley Community College could create a program where the spouses of disabled veterans would get priority registration.
And this is the key.
And
Sir,
I will tell you,
if I can interrupt, because I want our viewers to know this, there is no institution in the United States that we can find that gives preference for registration for the spouses of disabled veterans.
I believe that there is one somewhere back east, but there is none in California.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
like, we'll just say we're a forerunner.
You know, from a bragging standpoint, when you're able to say to people that Victor Valley Community College has a nursing schools in the top 5%,
right.
And now you're able to say that with the leadership of the Spring Valley Lake Veterans Club, now there's a whole bunch of people on in there. Their president happened to be somebody I know, and in a person who, over the course of 20 years, we've agreed to disagree on multiple subjects that impact.
Well stated.
No. But Robert Reed Jr. Was on the board of directors of Spring Valley Lake. Okay, Spring Valley Lake is a master plan community built by Boise Cascade, 4,213 lots, 91% built out, a 200-acre lake.
I believe you live in that community.
I have 2 homes there. Actually, I reside in 2 homes. My wife has 2
exactly,
homes there.
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah,
she's in studio, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, so we all know how that works.
Exactly.
But Robert had approached me at the time, and I was president of the board, and said, "What do you think?" And so he came forward, and with the work of all the trustees, Brandon Wood is
right.
a fellow veteran. Dr. Wagner's a fellow veteran.
Are you a veteran?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I am. I went to Marines military school because I was such a good kid.
Oh, yeah.
In
I
7th and 8th grade.
imagine, yeah.
They beat me hard.
Exactly.
And so I did my time.
Okay, there you have it. Be that as it may.
It was a challenge, and I think that if you...
It was a challenge. That's the key. It wasn't an easy ask. You had to go through a process to allow these spouses of disabled veterans to get priority registration.
The process started with a group of, and I just spoke to him here recently,
Right.
to a group of incredibly committed veterans in Spring Valley Lake. And they said, we are going to take this and we need to find a partnership. So when they came to me, I said, we have a process. Now, I'm not from government, so I don't always agree with the process. But the process is a process. And I think as Robert and his team internally found out, the process worked, although Robert and I had one thing in common. Our patience level is like 0. So I would constantly say to him, Robert, trust me on this. And he'd say, Joe, you have no patience. How?
Right,
okay,
right.
Long story short, with all the internal processes, with the help of Greta Moon at our college, she oversees admissions. Dr. Wagner, the college councils, our ASB president, Gabrielle Galindo, and Jasmine, not only were they able to work through the process and work through all the different committees that they have to, now this is going statewide. So with their help, and I mean, God bless them, this is so cool because you have to know Robert Reed, you have to know the leadership within his club, you know, the Verhagens and everybody else. These are people that no doesn't work. Right. And that's why some of us out in the high desert might be out there because no is not in our vocabulary. I asked Deb out 6 times. Right. She finally succumbed on the 7th try.
Deb, your wife who's in studio.
I'm one proud of our board. I'm incredibly proud of the process that it worked. I'm proud through the Academic Senate, the College Council, and the ASB. And when you see the process work, it literally takes your breath away. So
it starts this fall?
It starts this fall, and they're working through all the little nuances that have to go with it. But no, it's great when you can say that you were part of a team, and it was a team effort. It was a 5-0 vote. I mean,
right.
Trustees Henderson and Tortorici, and then our president, John R. Pinkerton III.
Right.
John's running for Congress right now. Everybody came together. There was nobody that said no.
You'll come back? Okay, his name is Joseph W. Brady. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Charter Local Edition.